Hello and welcome to this workshop. My name is Sarah Davidson Squibb. I'm a librarian here at UC Merced, and today I'm going to be introducing you to JoVE. JoVE stands for the Journal of Visualized Experiments, and as part of today's time together, we're going to be going over what is some of the content available in JoVE, how do you navigate and search in JoVE and on its platform, and how might you leverage that JoVE content and its functionality, especially for the classroom. So that's where we're headed in the next few minutes together. Just popping back over to our library website. And as we get started, I'll just note that we do have JoVE listed in our databases listing. So if you search for JoVE, you can find it that way. I often will just find it, here it is in the list, by doing a Google search for it as well. And it will bring up JoVE for you. And as long as you're connected to the virtual private network, you're going to get access to that JoVE content. Without that connection, you might see snippets of some things, but not get access to the full JoVE content. So here we are at the JoVE landing page. It's just jove.com. And it's really divided into sort of two main sections. Up here in the navigation menu, we have the research section. And this is where we're going to have those Journal of Visualized Experiments sort of divided into these subject areas. It also has an education component where it's content that's really created for undergraduates to help them understand concepts in the sciences. So this is the education piece. And we'll come back and browse those a little bit. But this landing page has its main search box where we can search the Journal of Visualized Experiments. We can also search the educational content. So if I just search for, let me try for replies here. You're going to get to your results page, and it's going to divvy it up into the research section here on the left and the education section here on the right. And you have a few filters available to you, and not a ton, but you can look at things such as publication date and say, you know, I want to see things that are much more recent. You could search for an author at this point, an institution, or say I want to narrow this down to subjects. I just want to see what's here for genetics. And you could say that, and it obviously takes out a lot of our results, and it looks like it's not leading us any of the education component, but it's leading us as some of the research components. It's also defaulting for me to articles with video, but sometimes if you go to all articles, and it's not in this case, you will see items that are already being posted, but the video is still coming. I'm going to X off my filter at this point. And I'm just going to try a couple other searches to see what we get. I do notice in this search tool, if you use the double quotes around a phrase of 2 or more words, you will get, let me switch this back to article with video, you will get narrower results. And I'm also realizing that this switched me over to research and not just education. So I think this is why I'm not getting any results. You can always head back to the JoVE landing page by clicking on its logo. And let's try that one again. Seems like there should be something in here with placebo effect. Not a lot, but here I am back to a couple items from research and some from education. We could also try something else. Let's try like global warming and see what we get. Okay, so again, some results from both of those. So that's the main way that you're going to search for content within JoVE, getting to both these research items and also the education items. A little bit more about what each of those pieces looks like. If I click on this, I'm going to get to the page for this specific video, and you'll see here that it says I have full access, and this is because I am connected to the VPN, so it knows I'm at UC Merced. And this is the video on the right-hand side. These are the chapters within the video, so they have pulled out different timestamps, and if you click on one of these chapters, it's going to take you to that part of the video. And this is being a little bit weird because normally I can see that on the bottom. Let's try one more. Okay, kind of interesting. We'll see if that shows up on the education one. And then if you scroll down, this is the transcript of the video. I'm going to click on transcript at this lower left. So this is for the video. Then if you want to get to the associated article with the video, you come under the video just below it, and it says article. This is hyperlinked. You click on article, it plops the video back over onto the right, so it's a little less prominent, but you now have the associated article. You can scroll down, or you can jump to different parts of it by going to like introduction, protocol, discussion, materials, etc. So these are just different sections of it. You can download the materials list at this point. They also always separate out the materials list earlier. This is kind of just taking me back to the abstract. So over here on the right-hand side under the video, you could get a PDF of this item, or you could also download the materials list, which maybe you want to prepare for a lab or something like that. Okay, let me move my Zoom piece so I can see a little more clearly and just come back to this. So that's what an item from the research part of JoVE is going to look like. And this is coming from the environment subject area. So if we were under research, that is the section it would come from. So let me go back. I'm just going to back out a little bit. So that's the research piece. I'm going to come into the education piece. So this is called climate change concept. It's telling me that it's out of something called lab manual biology. When I click on this, I'm going to also be taken to a video. And the landing page looks a little bit different than the other landing pages. And for some reason, my internet seems to be a little bit sluggish on this. This is actually free content, so you will see occasionally that they're offering things that are free. So if you weren't on the VPN, you could get access. So this has the video that can be played. There's a transcript as well. And you can scroll down for more information. On this tab to the right of concepts, there's student protocol. And this is where you could have, again, an activity or an experiment that's being used or modeled in the classroom that students could be participating in. So you can also print the procedures for that. Let's see if that loads up for me. Or not, we'll go back here as well. And I'm going to go back to the concepts video. We'll maybe look at another one because some of these science education videos also have a third tab that's intended for the faculty member or the person who's teaching. So this looks a little bit different, but just showing you something from the education side. And we'll look at a couple other examples through browsing. So we basically just got here through using the searching. You can, of course, also just browse what is in here. So if I go to research and bioengineering, this is going to bring up all the videos out of the journal in that section. It's showing them by the latest. And it has, again, all articles are articles with video. And then over here on the far right is where you get the options for publication date, author, or institution. So similar options to what we saw when we were searching, but graphically it looks a little bit different. And again, we could go into one of these and it's going to look very similarly or very similar. Let me click on device insertion, seeing if this one acts any differently. Okay, so we'll go back here and I'm going to also browse in education. So with education, you can pop into one of these subject areas. You can also go to JoVE Science Education, which basically leads you to a landing page, which also has the different subject areas. I'm going to go into engineering. You'll see that their videos can be both just videos, or that one we saw in climate change was actually an animation. So there's variation in there. You get these subcategories once you get into an area like engineering. So then you can go into chemical engineering and see what's available. And this has a mix of sort of the live videos and the animations. I'm going to go into one of those just to see what else I have available. And this one is actually not giving me the 3 tabs. Let me just see if I can find one that actually has 3 tabs on it. Yeah, this one's not doing that either. So anyways, if you're in here, you will sometimes notice the 3 tabs, but again, we have materials down here. We have the chapters for our video. And you'll just have to try it out yourself. I don't know if this is a weird Zoom interaction, but we should be able to see this take us to 6:09 of the video. Okay, I'm going to come back here. It tells us that we're in education. And I'm going to go over to JoVE Core. JoVE Core is basically what they're calling these video textbooks. We have them in these 4 areas. And I'm going to go into the social psychology one. They've, divvied this up into chapters, this one starting with research methods and ending with group dynamics. So they're trying again to explain key concepts to students. And this could be something where instructors again may choose certain pieces that they want to incorporate into a class. And again, transcripts, etc. So for these videos, you will see as well options for creating quizzes. Over here on the right-hand side, you can click Create Quiz. Now, just a comment about this. I mentioned earlier that we get access to this information by being on the virtual private network. There's an additional layer of access, and that is through creating an account on JoVE. So currently, I am logged into JoVE as well, and I created an account in the past. And this is what is allowing me to see Create Quiz. If I was not logged in here as Sarah Davidson, it would not show me that quiz button. So I'm going to sign out for a moment just to show this really briefly. There's a sign in the top. If this is new for you, I would encourage you to sign up as well for an account if you're going to be using things like the quiz feature. And then when you sign in, if you don't have an account, you can use the Create an Account. You will need to use your UC Merced email address, although you will not use a password, or I do not recommend using the same password that you're using for your single sign-on. And then you can sign in. So I was signed in, I just signed out, and now I'm back in. And this is what is going to allow me to see the option to create quizzes. So let me navigate back to something like psychology. I'm going to go back to this core video textbook. Let's just click the social self and trait and self-esteem. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create quiz. Just gonna rename it again. It knows I've selected that. And when you scroll down, it is populating it with questions for you. So here's the question. It has the possible options for students. It identifies which one is the correct option. It does allow you to upload an image if you want to associate one with this question. You are also permitted to remove a question. So if you want to make it shorter or you don't think that's relevant, you can certainly do that. And it goes from there. There may be 2, 3, 5 questions normally within a quiz. You also have the option to add a question, so you can do that if you wish. So you would enter your question, your answers, and select which one is correct. I'm going to go ahead and save and review quiz. It doesn't like that I haven't populated that, so I'm going to remove the question. Save and review quiz. So here it is. Here's the questions. I just used theirs. I'm going to click Save and Approve. At this point, you can send invitations. So you can put in email addresses of individuals. You can also write a message and choose a deadline, and then click Send Quiz. You also do not have to do anything at this point. You can just leave it. And the quiz will be under your account in the JoVE quizzes. So if I go to JoVE quizzes in unfinished quizzes, I will see this one, the social self. And again, I could go back and actually edit this. I could remove it. In here, you could also see quizzes that have been taken and what was being scored for these. I think this is an example where probably I just like took a demo one, so it's not very enlightening, but you can also see those within JoVE. So that's a little bit about that functionality for the quizzes. I'm going to go back to our education psychology piece. And the social self, let's go back to this one. So we use the create quiz option. You also in here could get embed code if you wanted to put something like this over into your CatCourses site. And I'm going to say more about LTI integration and how you might use JoVE in your CatCourses. But this is another option that you could use with the embed code. Okay. Going back to education for a moment, we went over to core. We were at the landing page for science education. The JoVE lab manual, there's 2 here, one for biology, one for chemistry. Again, intended to help with teaching undergraduates. And you can sort of take a look at what kind of content is available here. This again looks very similar to the other education content. And here we finally have a video where it didn't just have concepts or student protocol. It also had an instructor prep tab with information for the individual who's teaching and perhaps wanting to use this lab. The other piece under education that might be of interest to you is the piece that says videos mapped to your courses. So this is also an attempt to try to support instructors who maybe, can take some time to map these things on yourself. And they also, have some customer service if people want to request that for some additional assistance. So they've done some pieces around that to try to help educators. And let me go back to this. I think it might be on the science education. So they redid their website in the last few months, and I just want to get back to, oh yeah, it was under the mapping. So the other piece I'll draw your attention to here is one of these boxes is the textbook mapping. And the textbook mapping, they do it for a handful of books. And a lot of these books are these OpenStax books, ones that are open access and available. And so for instance, with microbiology, what they've done is they've mapped their videos and their content over to the OpenStax textbook. So again, it's kind of hidden, and I think it's hidden a little bit more on this new website, but that is available in JoVE as well. So that's sort of the main pieces. There's a little bit about managing your account. There's not a lot in there. You can have favorite articles or playlists as well. But what I'm going to wrap up with is looking a little bit at the LTI integration that you can do with JoVE into CatCourses. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to go over to CatCourses in Merced and just log in. And I'm just going over to a library instruction CatCourse site that we have. And we have some content in here, but I'm also going to go down to just a JoVE testing section. So you may be creating sections within your CatCourse. You can click a plus sign, and in the drop-down menu, select External Tool. And this is where you can get to JoVE. So I'm selecting JoVE. From here, it will ask you to sign in. So it has to know what is your JoVE account as well. So this is where you would also need a JoVE account, not just the VPN. So I'm signing in. Okay. And sometimes these windows are a little small. I'm going to make this slightly bigger. And you can choose a content type. So science education is one big resource type, video journals, those research components. I also have a question out to them because there should also be a test or quizzes button here for incorporating in the tests or quizzes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to select science education. You can either search for content or you can sort of browse and burrow into their structure. So if I select cell biology, then it's going to ask me to then select something else. So cell cycle analysis, for instance. And when I select that, it's going to bring it down here. And I think I could select another one and it brings it down here. If I change my mind, I can delete those. So I'm going to submit those. And it says, okay. And I have to add item. And under JoVE testing, I now have cell cycle analysis. And I might have to double check that. I thought I was going to have two show up there. So this will come into your CatCourse and it's going to embed that content. So there's the text, and I might come back because I should have there it goes. It's just kind of loading and bringing that in. Okay. So that's bringing some content into your CatCourses site. Now I do also have these instructions on a library guide. So under our research guides, if you search for JoVE, many of the pieces that I've talked about today are on this JoVE guide, including this LTI integration. And I have some screenshots and content on this left-hand side. So this is adding the science education content, the journal content, but the steps are extremely similar. So that might be useful if you want to come back to that in the future. Also, under how-to resources, I have additional information about setting up content in JoVE. We already mentioned the embedding of videos. They do have some other options about loading common cartridge files or QTI files. And they do have some really short video tutorials about how to do that. My understanding is this can be good, especially if you're bringing in a lot of the JoVE content to your CatCourse site. And JoVE is actually the one that would need to generate those files for you to bring them into your CatCourse. So you can request those through their customer success email or through our JoVE representative, Caesar, at this email. So that's another option, especially if you're thinking about integrating a lot of content. I've also sort of more generally included some other of their information, including their YouTube channel. So that's a lot of the key information, which I hope gives you a sense of what's in there. I realized that I also didn't show you that even though a lot of us are searching directly in JoVE, you may come across JoVE content in a couple other places, one of those being PubMed. So I just searched for JoVE, which is probably not super useful, but you might be searching for something else. And this is bringing up JoVE methods, and this JVIS EXP is the Journal of Visualized Experiments. So you may come across this content in another database and then get bumped back over to JoVE. So in this case, here I am back in JoVE. So that was in PubMed. You will also find the same thing in Web of Science. Let's try this, JoVE or Journal of Visualized Experiments, just to give you a sense of what's in here. And I'm going to change this to publication name. Okay, it did not like that. So let me just try it as topic and see what comes up. So because I'm not just searching publication, I'm getting a little bit more than that, but you can see with number 3, for instance, it has this JoVE thumbnail and it's coming out of Journal of Visualized Experiments. And I think what is happening with my initial search is it wants us very specifically in this database as JoVE-Journal of Visualized Experiments. Let's just try this because I'm curious. And I'm going to try changing this back to publication instead of topic. See if I got their stuff correct. Okay, yeah. So now this is just bringing up all the items out of JoVE. So just sort of an FYI that the content could show up if you're searching in PubMed or Web of Science, and you may find that helpful at times as well. So individuals don't necessarily just have to know about JoVE. So that's a really quick overview of what's available there, but it does have a lot of great content. I think a lot of content that can be used in the classroom. And if you have questions, I hope that you'll reach out to me. And my name is Sarah. I'm also listed under our library staff and directory. And so my email, or if you want to schedule an appointment, anything like that, you can get a hold of me, and hope that you find JoVE really useful. And so that's it. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks again.